Everyone said this land was dead, but Walter Gunderson saw something no one else did. In 1981, in a small county office in Iowa, there was a soil map on the wall. Every farmer knew that map. The best land was dark. The average land was gray. And then there was one patch, almost white. 40 acres, rocky, thin, steep. The kind of land no one wanted. The county agent called it one thing. And everyone agreed. That land had been tried, abandoned, and forgotten. Farmers gave up on it. Weeds took over. Trees crept in. Even records stopped calling it farmland. It was useless. Then one day, a man named Walter Gunderson bought it. 40 acres of the worst land in the county. He paid $185 per acre, when good land was selling for over $3,000. People laughed. At the feed store, a dealer joked, "That's like buying a coffin and calling it a house." Everyone laughed. But Walt didn't respond. To understand why he bought it, you have to understand the time. In the 1970s, farming was booming. Prices were high. Exports were strong. Land prices doubled, then tripled. Banks pushed farmers to borrow more. Expand, they said. Grow bigger. And farmers believed it. They bought more land, took loans, upgraded machines, because they thought the good times would never end. But then, everything changed. Interest rates went up. Markets collapsed. Crop prices fell. Land values dropped. The 1980s farm crisis began. Farmers started losing land. Loans became impossible to pay. Communities suffered. And in the middle of all this, Walt did something different. He didn't expand. He didn't borrow. He stayed simple. He grew up with a father who believed in one rule: never go into debt. So Walt saved money, worked slowly, stayed disciplined. By 1981, he had $47,000 saved, and instead of buying the best land, he bought the worst. Not because it was cheap, but because he saw something others didn't. While everyone else chased production, Walt focused on understanding. He didn't rush. He didn't follow the crowd, and that decision changed everything. After buying that land, Walt didn't rush. He didn't bring in tractors. He didn't start plowing. Instead, he walked the land, step by step, every inch. He carried a notebook, took soil samples, observed everything. Where water collected, where the soil was deeper, where the land was weakest. He studied it like a system. Then he made a decision that surprised everyone. He didn't plant corn. He planted clover, by hand. While others used machines, Walt walked across those rocky fields with a seed bag, slowly, carefully. People laughed again. They thought he was wasting time. But Walt understood something they didn't. Clover doesn't just grow. It heals soil. It pulls nitrogen from the air, feeds the ground, builds structure. Its roots go deep, breaking hard layers, opening the soil. And slowly, life began to return. At first, nothing looked different. But underground, everything was changing. Microorganisms came back. Earthworms appeared. Moisture stayed longer. The soil started breathing again. Even the county agent noticed. The same man who called it dead ground came to see it again. He walked the land, checked the soil, And this time, he didn't call it dead, because something was changing. By the third year, Walt added oats. Now the land started producing. Not much, but enough. He also brought in cattle. Not many, just a few. He moved them carefully, avoided overgrazing. The cattle helped. They added nutrients, improved soil structure, helped the system grow stronger. While others were struggling with loans, Walt was building something different. Not fast, but stable. Year by year, the land improved. And then came the real test: corn. For the first time, Walt planted corn. No fertilizer, no chemicals, just soil that had been rebuilt. At first, it didn't look perfect, but at harvest, everything changed. His yield matched, even beat the county average, on land everyone had ignored. People stopped laughing and started watching. Year after year, the land improved. The soil got darker, stronger, more alive. Water stayed longer. Erosion stopped. The creek ran clear. What was once called dead ground was now better than good farms. Walt increased production, more corn, higher yield, lower cost, because he trusted the soil. While others were losing land, Walt was building it. That same land, bought for $185, rose above $1,000 per acre. No loans, no risk, just patience. One day, Walt met Phil again, the same man who once laughed. Now everything had changed. Phil said, "I told people to borrow, to grow, and they lost everything." Then he looked at Walt. "You bought the worst land, and you're still here." Walt replied, "The land was never the problem. The debt was." Walt kept farming for years. No loans, no shortcuts. And by the time he retired, the land was fully alive again. Rich soil, healthy crops. He didn't become the richest, but he survived, and that meant everything. Years later, that same land, once called dead, was marked as the best. Under it, 2 words were written: